All right, now you've already learned 3 rules for leaders. Now I've also got 3 rules for groups. Now this is a totally different set, and I know I've thought about it like, man, I wonder if this is going to be confusing for people. Hopefully not too confusing. 3 rules for leaders. This is how you know if you're a leader. These are the things that are expected of you no matter what you're leading. Now, 3 rules for groups. This is what we're expecting of your group. This is what, if I say, yeah, that's a Whitewater group, then what I believe is that you're doing these things. All right? I want every group at Whitewater, whether it's a community group, a care group, a study group, a prayer group, a serving team. I want every group at Whitewater to be doing these 3 things. Okay? It's not complicated. It doesn't have to be hard, but it's important that these things are covered. Okay? So, 3 rules for groups. So the first rule is real easy, all right? And that is meet once a month or more. You need to meet once a month or more. People will tell me, yeah, I'm in a small group. I go, great. When's your next meeting? They're like, I don't know, 6 months or so. Like, we haven't met for 3 months. We'll get together at some point. I was like, okay. But you're a group. Oh, yeah, we love each other. Do you ever get together? Not so much. Okay. Like, you have friends, but you don't have a group. You should know, if you're in a group, you should know when your next meeting is. You should know what the plan is. When am I going to see these people again? Because something's going to come up in your week, right? Like, this terrible thing happened. I didn't know what to do about it. And I was stressed about it. And so I asked the question, like, can I talk about this with my small group? You should know when the next time you're going to see your small group is. So when groups go for months without seeing each other, like, that's just not a healthy thing for the group dynamic, right? Now, maybe you keep those relationships going because, we met with, Bill and Susie. We had dinner at their house, and then, John and Amanda, we went to their, we went out to coffee with them. And so I'm still getting to see some of these people. That's good. Those are friends. But if you're a group, then you should meet. All right? So rule number 1 is meet once a month or more. More is better. So look, if you meet once a month over the course of a year, and let's say you meet for an hour and a half per meeting, then that puts you at, if my math is correct, 12 times 1.5 is 18. So that means you've met over the course of a year for 18 hours. That's about how much time you get with your office mates in like 2.5 days. So you can't say like these are really valuable relationships if you just don't ever see each other. Friendship is a function of time. Relationships are a function of time. And so, or people say, well, we meet every other week. Okay, well, cool. I'm glad that's better than once a month. But if you meet every other week, then what that means is over the course of a year, you meet 26 times. So again, if you're meeting for hour and a half, you're like 26 to 30, maybe 40 hours over the course of a whole year. Well, 40 hours in a week is a work week. So like, just recognize that it's just taking you a long time. It's not like it's going to be bad. It'll just take you a long time to build the kind of relationships that you're looking for. All right. So the second thing, so the first thing is we're going to meet. All right. And the second thing is at every meeting, has 2 agendas. I want you to have 2 agendas for every meeting you ever have with your small group. And groups are usually good at one of these. Well, let me say this. Terrible groups don't do either of these things well. Decent groups do 1. Great groups do 2. All right? So 2 agendas. Hydro Nike. You're like, hi, what? Swimming gear? Sporting goods? No. So we can take off the O, actually. Hydro. I want you, one of your agendas, every time you meet, no matter what kind of group it is how you doing? Really. And the really is important. I don't know if you know this or not, but church people lie all the time, right? So you're walking down the hallway and you're like, hey, how you doing? And they're like, fine. And then you talk to them later and it's like their life's a mess, right? How you doing? I'm fine. How you doing really? Oh, actually, life is terrible. Right? How you doing? Oh, I'm good. I'm good. How you doing? How you doing really? Really, this is what's going on. And so when I first started leading, I led a couples small group for a while in my 20s. And we were doing great. You know, we always got through all the questions. We were doing a curriculum, and we were getting through the questions, and our attendance was good, and so all the things that you would measure, I felt like I was really nailing down, right? And we always got through the material. We never got too far off on the sidetrack. We always did the thing, got through the book. We did all our stuff, man. It was like the perfect small group. And we were in it for about 6 months, and a couple stopped coming. And I let them go for a couple weeks, and I called them, hey, what's going on? And they're like, well, we're getting a divorce. I was like, you're what? Yeah, we're getting a divorce. So we're not going to come to group anymore because we're divorcing. I remember thinking, how did I miss that? Like, I saw them every week. And so part of it was they were actively lying to us all and telling us that things were okay when they weren't. But also, like, I never dug into that. I never looked deep enough below the surface to realize that the lives of this couple were in complete disarray, and I didn't pay attention to it because I was too busy doing whatever curriculum that we were doing that I don't even remember now what it was. So I'm pro curriculum. We're going to provide curriculum to your group, and it'll be good, and I'm glad you're doing that. But realistically, like, if somebody can go through that level of trauma in your group and you don't know about it, you ain't doing your job, right? And so somebody has to ask the question, how you doing really? All right? And then we get to Nike, right? What's the slogan of Nike? Just do it. Whatever. I don't know why I circled it. I was going to circle the whole thing, but just do it. And it is whatever reason it is for your group to meet. So if your group meets in order to ride motorcycles, then ride motorcycles. If your group meets because you're the elders and your job is to oversee and plan and pray for and lead the church, then do that. If your group is doing a Bible study of the book of Jonah, then do that. Like, whatever the thing is that your group does, do it. That should be on the agenda. All right? When I talk to groups and they're like, yeah, we're doing a Bible study. I'm like, great, how's that going? We haven't really gotten to the Bible study in the last couple of months because we've just had a lot of stuff going on. I'm like, okay. I'm glad you have relationships. They're really doing well at this thing. How you doing really? But also, there's a reason you're getting together. You should do that thing. All right? So, that's the two agendas. So rule number one, job number one for your group is that you need to meet. When you meet, you should have two agendas. And the third thing is that you as a leader should be ensuring, in fact, I'll just put that in the, let's see, ensuring is the present, ensure is the command. What's the command? My grammar's failing me. That everyone CCU feels connected, feels cared for, and is urged to grow in Christ. You see all that? Off the edge of the page there, but that's all right. What I want is that if somebody is in your group, that they are connected, they feel cared for, and they are urged to grow in Christ. And so everybody in your group, all of these things should be true of them. So if I just went to them and said, hey, do you feel like because you're in this group, you're urged to grow in Christ? I want them to say yes to that. Hey, do you feel like because you're in this group, you're cared for? Like the group cares for you? Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel like because you're in this group, you're connected and able to feel like you've got relationships? Yeah, absolutely. So these things are the bottom line. And what happens actually is that all of this stuff kind of goes up the chain. So in order to ensure that everyone is CCU, right? Connected, cared for, and urged to grow. In order to do that, you need to make sure that every meeting has 2 agendas. And in order to make sure that every meeting has 2 agendas, at some point you have to meet, right? And so all of this is driving to that very bottom part. Why are we urged to grow? Well, how do you know that you're urged to grow? Well, it's because I feel cared for, right? Well, why do you feel cared for? It's because I feel connected. Why do I feel connected? Because, and it just goes up the chain. So it's really that last line, urged to grow in Christ, that is driving all of the rest of that. Like everything is going towards that destination. So that's what I really want you to know. These 3 rules for your group are critical. If you're not doing these things, you kind of don't have a group. All right, you might have a collection of people that get together every once in a while, but you don't have a group. This is what it is. I want you to meet once a month or more. Every meeting has 2 agendas, and ensure that everybody in the group is connected, cared for, and urged to grow. All right, urged to grow in Christ. So that's it. That's the 3 rules for groups. We've already done 3 rules for leaders. So those 2 things together form kind of your right and your left hand of group leadership, or those are your bookends. Everything else is going to go inside those. So that's what I want you to know. And the rest of what the videos that are in this series of videos really are just going to flesh out some how-tos and some practical stuff. But these are kind of not inspirational. These are kind of the philosophical parts. Like, this is what we're trying to accomplish in our groups. All right? So that's it. Go ahead and watch the next video if you're ready.